Is Pat Surtain II the best cornerback in the NFL? Is that something he even cares about? We'll break it down as Broncos OTAs are rolling, and so are we. Welcome into the studio. Hi, Phil Milani alongside Sidney Jones, the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, and Eric Dalala. Steve, let's get into it here. Surtain, coming off a first-team All-Pro, Pro Bowler. What can he do to take the next step? Is there a next step for him?
I think there's always a next step, especially in the offseason. Everybody's working to come back and have an even better year than they had before. They go back and look at film from the previous year and say, man, I could have gotten that play. If I'd have got my eyes around a little bit quicker, I could have got an interception. And they try to improve those things over the offseason. And I also think, hey, Surtain up against the Raiders had a little bit of a tough game there. I would say that's really the only matchup that he has a few problems with.
Devontae Adams is real.
Oh, yeah, he's probably one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best receiver in the league right now. But I think that Pat Surtain has that date on his calendar where he's like, I'm going to show what I can do.
We won't have to wait long, right? Week one.
Week one, yeah. And Pat's even talked about that the past week or so during OTAs, that he's working on the little details, the little nuances to up his game a little bit more and to perfect his craft more. So.
I mean, I think when you look at Pat, there's one way of looking at it where, hey, can he be Defensive Player of the Year? Can he get more interceptions if this team plays a little bit more zone defense? Can he take advantage of those opportunities and really be kind of a game-changing player for the Broncos? So that's one way, but the way I look at it is just, can he do the same thing again? Because it's one thing to go out and have one really good season and have one first-team All-Pro on your resume. It's another to do it in consecutive years and continue to stack those and show that year after year after year, you're a top cornerback in this game. That's how you get your name mentioned among the all-time greats. And, I mean, we've seen that. I think Pat certainly has the talent to be that type of guy. Now he's got to go out there and do it.
Yeah, well, Sean Payton, he mentioned about his physical skills, his mental skills. And I would say the mental skills are the thing that I think that is a little bit underrated, because I've seen a ton of guys that are Pat Surtain's size. They may have had similar speed, but they didn't have the mindset. They didn't have they couldn't put it all together the way that Pat Surtain can, and as fast as he can, and be able to make the plays that he makes. So he's a complete player, and I'm just looking for him to continue to improve and keep collecting these accolades and help us win a Super Bowl.
Okay, well, quarterbacks don't throw to him, so how does he make more plays here, Sidney? Like, what can he do to just be able to 6 career interceptions for as good as he is? That seems low.
Yeah, it does, and it's because quarterbacks don't throw his way. And he talked about that in the press conference last week during OTAs, and he said, kind of going back to what I said, he's working on those little details, the little nuances to up his game and to fix some of those techniques, and he's going to look to, strip the ball more and find ways to help the defense in any way he can outside of interceptions, because while those are really important, they're not everything.
I mean, listen, if the Broncos are winning football games and he's on their best receiver, they're going to have to throw his way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just about Pat Surtain. It's a complementary game. The Broncos have to find a way to put him in positions, both from a schematic standpoint and then from a complementary standpoint on the offensive side of the ball, of giving him a chance to make those plays. He's got to take advantage of them, of course, but listen, if the Broncos are playing the Raiders and the Broncos have a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter and Pat's on Devontae Adams, they're still going to Devontae Adams. That's his opportunity, I think, to make those big plays.
And I think what's so great about Pat, too, this being his third year in the league, he wants to be the best player on the field, but also off the field, too, as a teammate. And he's really starting to take more of this leadership role as well, talking about how he wants to lead by example and help these younger guys transition to the next level, which is great to see from him.
Do you think that's natural for him? Because he's sort of a quiet guy. Yeah. Says he wants to lead by example. Can he be more vocal? Is that something that he should just try to create, or do you have to stay true to your personality?
I mean, I think he can be more vocal, but you also hear what Justin Simmons said the other day, which is when you're a first-team All-Pro corner and you're the best player on the field and one of the best guys in the NFL, people are naturally going to gravitate your way. I mean, the Broncos have had some guys in this locker room over the years that have been vocal leaders that have been followed, but then I think of like a Demaryius Thomas, who he wasn't super vocal, but guys followed him because he led by example. He was a great football player. Kind of see Pat Surtain in that same sort of mold, that if he plays the way he plays, he works the way he works, he holds himself to a certain standard, everybody around him is going to want to hold themselves to that same standard.
Yeah, I mean, in the locker room, it's unlike any other place, because if you haven't done it, many guys, they just want you to just shut up. Like, if you're not making plays, I don't want to hear what you got to say. And that's just how it is, unfortunately, because some guys, they may have the knowledge, but they may not be able to, execute on the field. as well. But especially in the locker room now, once guys become coaches in that, obviously the players have to listen much more. But teammates, you got to be making plays for other guys to listen.
You guys talk about the schematics for next season. Here's what Surtain had to say about his new defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph.
Yeah, Vance, he's brought a lot of, different type of schemes towards our defense, a lot of packages. And, he's a guy that's confident in our ability. He puts plays out there that, helps us make plays in a way. So, when you have a guy like that that's confident in us and confident, in his play calling, it sets us up for success.
All right, so let's answer the question we started with here. Is Surtain the best cornerback in the league?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, he doesn't have the flashy plays that a Sauce Gardner has. And listen, Sauce plays in New York. They were kind of this buzzworthy team last year. You talk about a Jalen Ramsey, who's been in this league a long time and has played at a really high level. Darius Slay obviously makes a lot of big plays, but just consistently week in and week out, being a guy that is making a quarterback and an offensive coordinator ignore the entire other half of the field, and he's doing it in year 2, and for a team that a lot of the time was behind in these games. You put all that together, Pat Surtain, I think last year was arguably the best corner in the league, and going forward, I don't know how you pick anybody above him if you're picking a corner to build around.
Yeah, and when I came out, Deion Sanders, he was drafted the same draft as me, and he was like the best athlete I'd ever seen in my life. And Pat Surtain reminds me a lot of Deion Sanders.
Wow.
Now, obviously, Deion, people tried to throw at him, and he would just shut them down. I mean, he would bait quarterbacks into throwing passes, and he would catch up and intercept the passes. But for Surtain to really get to that level, he would have to pick up the number of interceptions that he's getting, and teams would have to challenge him a little bit more. And so a lot of that is going to have to do with how the defense is played, how many times teams will try to go at him because the other side is covered up. They got double coverage or something.
Neon Pat.
Hey,
Let's see some of the style, too. Let's see. On the field's one thing. Off the field, Coach Prime now, he's a whole different ballgame.
that's right.
I mean, these guys said it best, and we may be biased because we see him every single day, but I mean, Justin Simmons said that as well. He sees him day in and day out, and he agrees that Pat is one of the best in the league.
And the best thing about him probably is that he doesn't even care about this.
Yeah.
He says, hey, I'll just go out there and do the work and let the play speak for itself. So that's our look at Pat Surtain II. For Eric Dalala, the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, Sidney Jones on Film Live.